Hi everyone. So I just got kicked out of the house and into the rain because I was talking way too much about Canon's new EOS R5 there, and some of the crazy specs they've confirmed will be in it. And I just really had to talk to somebody else about it, and they were getting bored to death by my talk about it. So hopefully you're all more interested and you won't be bored to death with me talking about this really interesting new camera. So let's go talk about it. So you may remember, if you've been following my channel for a while, that last year I made the switch from Canon, specifically the Canon 80D, Canon's older APS-C DSLR, to what I'm filming on right now, which is the Nikon Z6. And I really love this camera. The Nikon Z6 has been a fantastic camera. Can't recommend it highly enough. Pretty soon I'm going to publish a long-term review of it. And yeah, aside from a few annoying little nitpicks I have with it, it's been just the perfect camera for me. Which makes it really hard for me to consider going back to Canon. But the R5 really does some interesting things, and I think it could be the camera that I was hoping the EOS R, their current top of the line mirrorless camera, that the R5 could be what that everybody was hoping that camera would be. And if all the rumors are true and the specs that Canon has already confirmed will be in the R5 kind of make me hopeful that the other specs will also be real. It makes me hope that this camera might be what will bring me back to Canon. And of course that'd be a huge headache because I'm now invested in Nikon glass and stuff. So the R5 will really have to hit it out of the park to lure me back. So the real groundbreaking feature that everybody's talking about is, of course, the EOS R5's ability to shoot 8K footage, which is ridiculous. Nobody has an 8K screen, nobody watches video in 8K, but it adds a whole lot of extra editing latitude so that you can downsample to get sharper footage, so that you can crop way in and get footage from a wider angle shot that's closer in. So you say, if you're filming wildlife, you can crop way in and get beautiful 4K footage out of an 8K video file. Of course, shooting 8K will take up a huge amount of space, and there's possibly a lot of caveats like will potentially hinder shooting in 8K or make it not really a true 8K camera. Like, for example, they could make it so that the autofocus doesn't work, so that it's really cropped in on the sensor, so you're not getting a very wide field of, you can't get a really wide field of view. I mean, it's hard to say whether or not that'll be a big feature for now, but it could be a game changer, especially for some people who really want that 8K video. But we're going to talk about the rumored spec that I'm really interested in, if true. So one of the features that is rumored but has yet to be confirmed by Canon is that the EOS R5 will be able to shoot in 4K at 120 frames per second, and that is absolutely revolutionary. Way bigger to me than 8K video. When I bought the Nikon Z6, the feature that really stood out to me and which has really influenced my videos here on YouTube has been the ability to shoot at 120 frames per second at 1080p, and it's really good quality. And this has been a big feature for me. You can see examples of it on my channel and what it has done for my videos. Now, 4K at 120 frames per second would be a big step up because it would take care of some of the problems I've noticed with quality shooting at 1080p on the Z6. It's still great footage here, but I really like shooting at 4K, and being able to do 120 frames per second at 4K would be a big boost for me. And it opens the possibility, what will this camera be able to do at 1080p? Will it be able to do like 240 frames per second? Higher? That would be amazing. And this goat is trying to eat my tripod. Go away. And the peacocks are honking. And this is might be kind of a rough video segment right here. But anyway, 4K, 120 frames per second. If that's true, that would be amazing. So one great feature that is confirmed for the Canon EOS R5 is in-body stabilization, which will be a first for Canon, and I think will make it a very compelling system, especially if it's combined with 4K 120 frames per second, and Canon's already excellent in lens stabilization will work with this in-body stabilization to make, you know, super smooth footage. And that could be amazing for me as a videographer who likes to do travel videos where I'm just walking along and stopping and doing a quick little bit of video, and, you know, to put together these really cool videos of locations. I'll have a link to one right here showing an example of what I've been filming with the Z6, and that's a really exciting feature in the R5, and it's confirmed, and that alone is a pretty big thing for Canon. It definitely takes care of one of the big complaints people have with Canon cameras, and how they haven't kept up with other brands, which is in-body stabilization. So that'll be cool to see how effective that is. So those are the features I'm really interested in. Mostly the improvements on the video side of things. On the photography side of things, I think most cameras are generally just really good. You can't really go wrong if you're shooting photography. I could ask for, of course, improvements in dynamic range and low light shooting capabilities. Those improvements in those areas are always welcome. But extra resolution for photos doesn't really interest me, except if I'm shooting wildlife photos and I want to get crop really far in. That's nice. But for the most part, the 20 megapixel range is really fine for me. That said, the Canon R5 will be able to shoot at, I think it was 20 frames per second with electronic shutter, 12 frames per second with the mechanical shutter. And that's pretty good if you're shooting sports or wildlife photography. I might use it for wildlife photography. A lot of the improvements in terms of photography would really benefit me in that area. But we'll have to see. But yeah, in terms of videography, the Canon R5 looks like a real step forward. We'll have to see if all the rumored specs turn out to be true, especially the 4K 120 frames per second, and whether or not Canon will somehow artificially cripple it like they did with the EOS R, and they do regularly with all their cameras. That's what I really can't stand about Canon, is how they artificially cripple their cameras. They make great cameras and great lenses. Okay, I do have to talk about lenses before I go, because that is actually what really has me excited about the R5 announcement and maybe buying an R5, is that they also announced a 100 to 500 f, I think 4 to 7.1 lens, and it looks really, they haven't said size or really a lot of specs about it, but it looks small in the pictures they have. And if it is a really compact 100 to 500 lens, that's exactly what I need. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Even the really dark maximum 7.1 aperture wouldn't be too much of a problem for me. And I could hook this thing up to tele-extenders and have a really great range and a very compact lens. And that's very exciting to me. I like using the long telephotos. I currently use I've got the Nikon 300 f4, which takes great images, but doesn't, it's kind of restricted because it's prime, and it's kind of an awkward focal length, 300 millimeters I found. I'd rather have a range of zoom, I think, like my 150 to 600 Sigma lens, which is great, but it's like that big, and that's too big to carry around a lot of the time. I just don't like carrying around that huge lens that's really weighty and everything. So the 100 to 500, I'm gonna wait and see whether or not that's as good as I'm hoping it will be, but I'm really hoping it's good, and if so, I would really like to pair that with the Canon EOS R5. Another factor that will determine whether or not I ended up switching to the R5 from the Z6 will be the price. I'm hoping that it turns out to be in the $3,500 range. That's kind of what everybody's speculating right now. Most people are speculating $3,500 to $4,000, and in that range I'd be able to afford it. It's not likely to be less than that considering the features, and if it's more than that, I just won't be able to afford it. But if it falls, it hits that $3,500 sweet spot, I might not be able to resist, especially with that lens I just mentioned. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Canon ends up doing, if this will be the revolutionary camera we're all hoping for, and you know, a return to form for Canon from kind of their doldrums of recent years. Honestly, they've made some great lenses, but really been falling behind in the camera body department. So let me know what you think. Let me know if this is a camera you're interested in, if you think Canon will nerf it, or if they are just going to really get out ahead of the competition and make something amazing. I'd really like to hear all your thoughts on this. I've been going over to my head quite a bit, and I'm glad to be able to use it all out here on video, so that way I can stop, you know, just really boring everyone else to death with me talking about it in real life. Canon's going to, I think, have more about it at the end of the month, so that's really exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to that, and maybe I'll talk about it again. And yeah, to keep up with everything with my I do here with me here on Illuminations from the Attic, please hit that subscribe button. I make a lot of nature oriented videos. Sometimes I talk about gear like this, sometimes I do gear reviews. You can check all those out over on my channel, and I'll see you all again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.